Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here. And look, there is a ton to talk about via this COVID-19 crisis, aka the coronavirus. And what I've been trying to do, especially as of late, is present all this mainstream media coverage, but also show you what they're not focusing on, show you real documentation, and come at this from a realist perspective. I have never been so attacked on something so many people know so little about, and it is an ongoing thing. Sure, you could talk about 9/11 and the investigation and the war on terror and all that stuff, but the United States has nowhere near felt the brunt of this situation, and I'm sorry to the fantasists out there that believe somehow that this all ends by Easter. That's already been backtracked on. So the new thing is that there is an opinion piece in Bloomberg that is telling people that Donald Trump has essentially become the head of the Federal Reserve. Nothing could be further from the truth. I want to assure you of that. All right, and we're going to get into that in depth. But since we're going to go over so much news here, literally Cuomo just ended another hour-plus long press conference that we're going to have to cover because New York is such an integral part of this rollout. But I want to roll it back. All right, and thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share if you're new. What I want to do in the very beginning of this is always offer some types of actual solutions to the virus itself that are out there. Now, number one, we do have at least one doctor in New York using the intravenous vitamin C 1,500 milligrams several times a day treatment. We also have those clinical studies we've shown in China. All right, so again, we want to start everything on a positive note, because I think that's the way to go with this. Because we also have to talk about the delusionists that don't think any of this is happening and none of the hospitals are going to fill up. And somehow Italy, Spain, Iran, China, now Russia are hoaxing the whole thing together. Again, we'll get there. So this is a stem cell treatment for coronavirus. This is actually by a very authoritative source. I'm going to take my tweet here. We're going to put it in there, but anybody can check this out. It's a certain type of stem cell. It starts with an M. I'll butcher it, but we showed you what it was the other day. I think this is important because stem cell treatment has already been suppressed so heavily in the United States for some reason. Why? Because it's effective, and it would go against big pharma. So outside of anything coronavirus, stem cells have never been utilized in Western medicine in the way that they should have. Okay, so let's look at that treatment as well. Vitamin C, those would be my top two options if somehow I came down sick with this, right? All of a sudden. Okay, so now let's talk about another drug that's now going through tests. Okay, and this is a pneumonia-like drug. We actually mentioned this yesterday. Gelsolin. Okay, so this is another therapeutic. This isn't a vaccine. We haven't even talked about the hydrochloroquine and chloroquine. Okay, that's obviously something that's now been dispersed and something that Trump and others are promoting. All right, so there's 4 solutions outside of a vaccine. I want to get to just, there should be one more here. There's a new one here. Let's see. I want to see. Yes, here we go. And here's another. See, I should have put that all the way over here. We're going to stack these up so I don't forget them. So here's yet another drug, Lirenlimab. Okay, this is an HIV drug, okay, and cancer drug. It's experimental. I don't know how great it is. I'm just saying there are options out there, and we're trying to start this off with positive information, okay, because a lot of people are in fantasy world about this, and we're going to get to those fantasy worlders pretty much right now. Okay, so all over the place, I'm seeing, other than the 10 days of darkness that you're going to be able to interpret any way you want, Okay, and if it doesn't come true, you'll just say there was an underground bunker taken out by an earthquake or some other fantasy world. Meanwhile, underground bunkers are being activated for Homeland Security right now in Cheyenne Mountain. We'll get to that. But remember, the exercises on the morning of 9/11 that could not be stopped and were not stopped until after Flight 93 went down were coming out of Cheyenne Mountain. It's in my film, Fabled Enemies. Just something to think about. But because of a Yahoo piece, okay, just because of a Yahoo piece, and we're going to get to this piece right now. Well, it's a Bloomberg opinion, but it's also reposted in Yahoo Finance, okay? Basically, they're saying because of this Defense Authorization Act and the fact that he can nationalize any business, that the scheme essentially merges the Fed and the Treasury into one organization. That's not true. That's simply not true. It just makes them more reliant on one another. And by the way, and then it says, so meet your new Fed chairman, Donald J. Trump. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And by the way, it would be any president of the United States. You could fill that in an opinion piece. Show me the actual legislation and I'll show you another thing. They've already tried to push a digital currency. This could very well be the death of the actual physical dollar. All right? So the Federal Reserve Board, in some way, shape, or form, is going to survive this, a non-government entity. And just because we nationalize all these industries, if that indeed happens, and I think we'll see it slowly start to, like he did with GM, right? That in no way makes the president in charge of the Fed. And remember, with that bill, hyperinflation has gone to a new level. Why? Why? Think about that. $1,200 to $2,400 each. 91% of that money is going to special interests. I'm not taking that money. Okay? I just want to let everybody know. So the idea that this is some kind of, again, deep state takedown, it's not. Everything in that is bad. It's what I've told you. It's the economy actually crashing. And in actuality, I just want to point this out. This sets up talking points for later on when the economy does visually crash, when bank runs do happen, when, 401ks are totally wiped out. Remember, it hasn't hit bottom yet. They artificially inflated the market over the week, and then at the very end, it took that dip-a-da-doo, and they're slowly bleeding it out, as this is a slow rollout. 1929 meets 9/11, which is COVID-1984, okay? That's the real deal. Thumbs us up, share, subscribe, okay? So let's talk about some of these slow rollout measures and why people can't see this, all right? And I can't understand. I've been telling you guys for quite some time that New York City was the beginning. Now, Cuomo here in this press conference, and I'll give him credit on it. Oh, sorry, I went to the wrong spot there. I'll give him credit on it. Basically, Trump is now talking about an enforceable quarantine in places like New York, New Jersey, and others. And we'll get to that in a moment. An enforceable quarantine. Now, Cuomo says he doesn't know what that looks like. De Blasio knows damn well what it looks like. Again, this feels to me very scripted. Cuomo saying, no, we don't want that. We want movement. We're not going to lock anybody down for real. And Trump suggesting otherwise as the military fills in. And again, we have the military making makeshift morgues. And what you're seeing here, okay, there's a circle behind my head, okay, are the hospital zones, all right? And this is where fantasy comes in for some people. I want to let people know this, all right? Doctors, nurses are now gearing up to have a lot of these patients, all right? And no matter what you think this is, whether you think it's, not COVID-19, whether it's mass hysteria, they're gearing up for a lot of sick people. All right? And they've had a lot of sick people in other countries. So what you were seeing there is him saying he was going to move those sick people to hospitals. And as I've talked about, Otsego County, by the way, that middle circle right around there, has a lot of hospitals. And I was talking to you about how the Marriott had already been rented out, how Cooperstown Dreams Park, the largest Little League park in the country, if not the world, All right, go look up Cooperstown Dreams Park. Shut down their entire season. And remember, we had those military drills with the Apache helicopters here in March. This is all real. And remember, we had certain places where they said that they were going to be rebuilding. Now, he's been to those sites. I want to show you those. These are the first 4 sites they announced. The Brooklyn Cruise Terminal, the Aqueduct Racetrack, CUNY Staten Island. Oh, I'm sorry. These are new sites. These are 4 new sites. My bad. Remember, we already had Stony Brook, et cetera, et cetera. There's more sites on top of that they're now announcing. I just want to point that out as well. Here's 3 more. Okay, South Beach, Westchester Square, and the Health Alliance over in Ulster County. That's 7 new sites on top of the original 4. That's 11 sites in New York. You still think this is over by Easter? They're not commandeering these and getting the military ready because they're going to stop. Okay? That's my point with these videos. Now again, Cuomo's playing the good cop and saying that he doesn't want the kind of lockdowns where they're enforced quarantines, but other states are saying something very, very differently. And counties are acting differently. Remember, we had that Otsego County saying, safer at home. Safer at home. So let's get back to all the other news here. They're going to keep moving the goalpost. You know, this guy right here, I don't know if they have any pictures of him. There's a picture of him. 40 years old. All right. And as far as I know, I don't know that he's immune compromised or any of that, but obviously physically looks in great shape. He died from this. Okay. At least that's what they're saying. I know there's a lot of people that think that this is all a hoax and he died from something else and we don't know yet. But when people start ending up on respirators that never have been before, you got to ask those questions, right? Especially in mass. So I want to point out, you know, by now you got to believe with what Spain is showing and what Italy is showing, and we'll get into those numbers, that obviously Wuhan and China have lied about these numbers, right? Why should we trust the CDC when George Gao of the Chinese CDC is an obvious liar? Why should we trust the United States CDC? You know, I have somebody who I very much politically differ with to this very moment. Fraternity brother of mine on Facebook. He works down there right now. And even he is talking about how he doesn't trust the CDC. And he's somebody who, you know, lockstep a week ago was posting information from the CDC. And now he's fed up. These are real people. I just want everybody to know, you know, I'm not in the city. Thank God. I've seen some people out there saying, well, if you knew this, you wouldn't be. I'm not in the city. I'm upstate. And I know it's going to be bad here, but you know, what people don't understand is this community spread is throughout the country. It's going to be bad in a lot of places. And by the way, San Francisco is going to enforce their shelter in place. Again, slow rollouts, more enforcement, more military gets there, more drones that you're seeing. Remember, the drones are being used in California already, like my backdrop. Infrared drones that can also talk to you. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, when we get all the way down, you'll see some Osprey coming in. So here's Albuquerque, New Mexico, and this is going to be another one of these makeshift hospitals. Listen, makeshift hospitals don't pop up in 2 days. All right, this isn't over by Easter. That's all I'm trying to tell people. If you have the time to prepare, prepare now. If you can prepare, prepare now. And everybody's like, well, what do you mean prepare, Jason? I mean, get 6 months worth of food. Get your immune system right. Me and my nieces, we hit the P90X this morning at 8 a.m. It's great. You know, they smile at me. I huff and puff. But at the end of the day, I'm getting exercise. I'm getting fresh air. I'm getting smiles because I'm enjoying time with my nieces. I've got my supplements. You know, I am hitting the vitamin C, the vitamin D, turmeric, magnesium, zinc, you name it. Yes, I'm hitting those supplements. I'm trying to eat as best I can here, and I'm exercising, keep my mind right. That's how I'm dealing with this. And I know I can keep doing that without any kind of government intervention in my life for 6 months. So as long as they leave me alone, I'll leave them alone. I don't know that that's going to be the case. That's one of the reasons why we've been focusing on this issue. I saw Dan Schneider trending today. For those that don't know who Dan Schneider is, that's something I would have covered right away. We still will cover that, by the way. That's going to be a big story. Him and creepy Uncle Joe. So let's talk about Rhode Island. All right. Rhode Island is now hunting down New Yorkers seeking refuge. You see, they're going to start locking down states and counties. It's been a slower rollout than I thought, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Trump really wasn't in the know at all. Okay? And if you see this right now, Rhode Island police began stopping cars with New York plates on Friday. On Saturday, the National Guard will help them conduct house-to-house searches. Yes, house-to-house searches of the National Guard. That's not martial law. Huh? To find people who have traveled from New York and demand 14 days of self-quarantine. Right now, we have pinpointed risk. That is called New York City. So just to let everybody know, once again, stopping cars because they have New York plates, okay, and then National Guard going door to door. If you don't think that's martial law, I don't know what to tell you. They're not looking for tourists. They're looking for New Yorkers. And by the way, you can watch this news clip. We're not going to play it here, but it's basically just a 1-minute clip letting you know the Texas National Guard is going to Dallas, probably going to Houston, going to Austin. They're going to be deployed statewide. Slow rollout. Okay, I needed to show you all this military stuff. And right now, this Rhode Island story is there, but notice people are even leaving the Hamptons. Rich people are like, you know what? Time to get out of here. We're gonna get the heck out of New York. So when the rich people are leaving New York City, even though that's on the other end of New York City and Long Island, because they don't want to be landlocked in what could be an unimaginable health disaster. Okay? So, yeah, just to let you know. Now, when we talk about this $2.2 trillion deal, and who knows how much money it's really going to be, because, again, we're talking about an infinite digital printing press is really what they want out of this. And when I say they, I mean the predator class that are at the helm of this, okay? Also, throughout the month, this hasn't even stopped. The Fed, the Fed that Donald J. Trump's now in charge of, according to some writer at Bloomberg, they're lending out $1 trillion a day to large banks. With a T. $1 trillion. You want to know how banana republics are made? Wheelbarrows of money worth nothing. And again, everybody thinks that he's playing 64D chess. Please watch this. Please watch this. People are trying to say, oh, this he was talking about China. No, it's Mike Pompeo, ex-head of the CIA, the guy that said, we lied, we cheated, we stole, we had entire courses on it. And then a bunch of drone-like slobbering fools that think they're educated. Oh, we love you, Mike. That guy gets up there and he starts going off about how we're engaged in a live exercise, okay, at the State Department. And it doesn't seem like Trump was in the know. He doesn't say they should have told us, okay? He says you should have let us know. And he doesn't look happy about it. So, again, Trump in some ways, as a president, does get what he deserves because he surrounded himself with swamp monsters. Mike Pompeo, not a good guy. Bill Barr, not a good guy. John Bolton, not a good guy. James Mattis, not a good guy. Gina Haspel, not a great lady. Okay? Deep statery. How else do you end up with Alan Dershowitz as your attorney at a show trial? And I'm with him on that. Obviously, no Russiagate, right? But we're not going to go there. So, again, anybody who's in the 64D chess world or thinks any of this is a good thing and that nobody's dying or that this is a hoax somehow in that regard, I'm sorry, no. If you want to talk about hoaxes in the regard, the hoax is that there aren't treatments that should be plentiful and available to people. The hoax is that we shouldn't be mobilizing to do mass testing and then treatments of those things. That's the hoax. The hoax is that you can't stop a virus with tanks. Okay? And you know what? That reminds me. We're going to bring that video up right now because we didn't finish with all the martial law stuff. And I think it's really important that we continue and show some more some more footage that's not out everywhere, but really should be out everywhere. Where is it? Right there. Okay, hold on one second, guys. Just give me one moment. And we're going to Bam. We're going to, bam, we'll turn off the sound. Thank you for that, Bogus House. Just how big can get, I mean, again, the dollar, when people can't pay their rent, man, when it's not worth anything globally, when you can't leave your house, when your business is gone, when the stock market has less and less things you can buy up because they've already been bought up by all the big corporations. Nobody knows what this actually looks like on the other side. But again, when we're talking military, here come a train. But it's totally normal. It's totally normal to see, train loads. This is in California, by the way. Okay. Think about Oroville or something like that. By Tabletop Park, or I don't want to get it wrong. Because again, the military solves problems like this. Tanks solve problems. Tanks kill coronavirus. Right? I mean, people who are saying that I'm kooky and that it's over by Easter. If it's over by Easter, why is Dana White having a fight that no other live sports has been available now for weeks? Okay, at an undisclosed location. Because it's going to be over by Easter, right? And everybody's going to be able to go. And like I said, this type of military equipment, I think we got about another, minute and 10 seconds that we need to talk about this as it comes down the train. Because this is normal. Say it with me now. Tanks kill COVID-19. That's the hoax. The hoax is that somehow this type of thing is going to stop the spread of the virus. That we need to militarize everything. Instead of coming together, doing mass testing, mobilizing the military in the right way without tanks. Okay? Come on. Give me a break. Oh, still rolling? Still rolling? Another 34 seconds? I mean, we're going to have to let this one sink in, guys. Thumbs this up. Subscribe, share. Join the Burmese Brigade if you're new, because we still got more stories to go over, unfortunately, in a place called reality. That's what we do here. We do reality. And I don't get it right all the time, guys. I'll admit that. I'm not perfect. I'm just another human being like you guys, but I don't have an agenda. I'm not selling you some kind of conservative or liberal lie. I'm not telling you to vote Republican or become a Democrat. I'm not telling you to pledge your allegiance to Jason Burmis and everything he stands for. I'm telling you to think for yourself and look for the information and not be a lemming, and I shouldn't even use that term, when it comes to this. And, you box yourself in and saying this is a nation state job, or it's the Chi-Coms, or the leftists, or say Democrats a million times with me. With that being said, apparently the Play Store has kicked off Alex Jones and InfoWars app. I just want to say this. I'm totally against that. The more speech, the better. I will always go to bat for Jones on the fact that he should be able to be on these platforms, period. Whether you think that, he's preaching hate or you disagree with what he has to say, et cetera, there's a thing called libel. And actually, he lost another appeal to one of the parents apparently yesterday. That was being reported in the news. I didn't cover it, in one of the Sandy Hook lawsuits, right? So there's already a thing called libel. I just want to say that. You shouldn't be able to just deplatform somebody or take them off something like the Play Store. So that's total trash. And again, I will defend Jones on that all day, every day. So let's talk about this. Cheyenne Mountain bunker. It's going to remain sealed off until the pandemic passes. How Dr. Strangelove is that? Anybody not familiar with Dr. Strangelove? Where they got the war room underground? And again, everybody that I know of in there, other than the president's pretty unelected. So another thing to know about this command bunker is that in order to stop these military drills that were going on 9/11, where there were a multitude of other hijackings going on. Okay, so they're looking at the real hijackings as blips on a radar, but then there's other hijackings coming in as blips on a radar. Now, a lot of liars and debunkers have always liked to say, well, those drills were done, Jason. They were done. They stopped before the real attacks happened. No. You can listen to the NORAD tapes, and you can listen to them contact Cheyenne Mountain. I have it in my film, Fabled Enemies, free right here on this channel in the documentaries playlist. And actually, it's not until after Flight 93 goes down where they hang on the line for another 20 minutes to make sure that the false inputs and their war game is over. Just some food for thought. Just some food for thought. All right? And some other food for thought. Since we have these underground bunkers, you know, someone sent this to me, and I did this story. You could go check it out. Back in August, I did this story where DARPA was asking universities for access to their tunnels underground, and they were asking cities that had large areas to rent out things. That's really spooky. That all the way back in August, DARPA was looking for underground bases to rent. And I'll have to go back and check out my video on that, but I did a full video on it. So let's continue. Further to show that basically this is a real thing happening, okay? When Putin says he's going to lock down the country for 2 to 3 months, okay, halt church services, most shops, shut down the Capitol, suspend international flights, all that, it's real. Poot, although he plays ball around, he's not really a part of the NWO. What do I mean? Well, he has his own version of a new world order, but one where he's kind of at the top, and it's their regime. He's not invited to things like the Bilderberg Group. And by the way, food for thought, where's the Bilderberg Group going to be held this year? How will attendees get there? Will there be special access for certain people? Usually it happens somewhere between May and July latest. Usually it's in June, but sometimes it is in May. Now, we're talking about, you know, a couple months out, really. And to get back to this, Putin doesn't just play ball. It's a lot of his opposition that attends those type of meetings. All right? So for him to be on board, you know, Putin's not helping Trump take down the deep state either, if you want to try to incorporate that into your Illuminati fan fiction, whatever you're thinking. It's not real. And to further show you the death on a scale, you can believe however you want that all these new people are dying. But the fact is that they're keeping bodies in churches in Italy. Again, a first world nation, not a second world nation, not somewhere where, you know, information has been that limited. So something is happening to these people, period. And, you know, I was shunned today to dare publish an article based on somebody who was working in Seattle and was upset about the protections. Listen, we know that health workers are dying. We just had a nurse in New York. You know, he was, again, looked like he was in his 30s or 40s. Whether he had pre-existing conditions or not, guys, or had something else going on with him. Normally, you don't have people that are healthy people working in hospitals who then go on respirators and die. Okay? Just saying. Okay? So, something else to note is that Mossad somehow got another 400,000 coronavirus test kits into Israel. All right, and now they're starting to take off. Their numbers are, exceedingly getting higher, like the United States as well. And remember, the United States, Israel, they're the ones that are promoting that they may have a vaccine in months. Certainly not Fauci. Okay, Fauci said some interesting things on that as well, but others are. So here what we have, if you want to take a look, those aren't the drones. Those are Osprey. That's what I think. Those aren't like the drones that are going through. This is obviously Los Angeles, but they're bringing supplies out to those ships. So again, this is going to be a huge military operation, period. And we're only seeing the first steps of that huge military operation. Not ending by Easter. Believe me, I wish it was. And one of the other things, unfortunately, that we have as human beings is the ability to deny our own mortality. I got news for you guys. Everybody sings their last hurrah at some point. And I'm not hoping the Grim Reaper comes for any of you or me or your loved ones or mine. But eventually it happens. And I just feel like so many people have been in denial that this can't touch them because it hasn't gotten close enough. And I can tell you, I can assure you, again, with the goalpost continually being moved about how old you have to be, the goalpost continually being moved on where these hospitals are going to be located, okay? And, you know, once again, New York, looking at this. And Cuomo does sound like the voice of reason, but he knows damn well that these lockdowns are continuing, and he's already warned you 2, 4, 6 months. And remember, a lot of different areas that are now being turned into hospitals, period. And militarized. That's a reality. People have to realize that is a reality. All right, guys. Thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share. We're going to probably do the Event 201 thing a little later. I'd like to do that Dan Schneider video also. Thumbs this video up, subscribe, share. Share this information. Again, we're not trying to be doom and gloom here. We're trying to tell people what's really going on. You want to support me? I'm doing the Rockfin thing. I know that at some time I'm going to announce what time on Tuesday I'm going to be going live. I really got to do a text message or a call with somebody on that. And then if you want to financially support me, $5, $10, $15 means the world to me. Guys, absolutely love you. I'll see you all on the flip side.